All right, everybody, let's get crazy. You know why? Because it's free agent frenzy. You know, it definitely isn't trade frenzy because we've had one since our last podcast, a single trade since our last podcast. And I almost don't want to talk about who's involved because it's almost insulting. You know, DJ Jones and 422 for Rashid Shaheed. Again, he'd had
Boo.
some good points this year, and love me some DJ Jones because I love all 49ers, but come on, guys, we can do better than this. But I can understand why people are keeping their powder dry. It is free agency. So we'll talk about the NFL and some of the big things that have happened there, because that probably outweighs some of the things that have actually happened versus what's happened to our league. Um, Things are happening right now with free agency opening today. So we'll talk about some of the guys who are leading the bidding and kind of where we see things going from here. But I think a majority of the conversation is going to be on the real life NFL here. But I can't ask for two fellow fake GMs who'll be better than these two to go through this with me. RJ, Bill, thank you again for making the time.
Yeah, no problem.
Worse.
Proud to be here and representing my prestigious franchise.
Absolutely. Anyway, so as I mentioned, I've already covered the one trade that happened, so we won't talk about that later unless um, another trade happens during the podcast. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Um, the other big thing happening in the league right now is the opening of free agency. So, as explained in the commission's email and through the stuff in Discord, every team right now has a bid. Whether you use that bid or not is up to you, clearly, but every team has one. Once your auction completes that you nominate, you get another bid. And that's the way it works until enough people have put people out there that the commissioners decide to give multiple bids to teams so we can make free agency go a little bit faster. Reason
Another another nomination, not
Right.
not a bid.
You are correct. Thank you, RJ. I appreciate that. Um, but again, the reason for doing that is right now there's a ton of money out there, but when you start having guys going in the 20 million high teen range like this, if you have bids on two or three guys, you're precluded from bidding on anyone else because it's locked until the 12-hour clock completes. So that way you don't end up in a situation where everyone has money locked down, can't go get a player, and are at a disadvantage for this. Now, some might call that strategery, others call it, you know, fair game. But that's the way the league is set up, so that's the way we're doing things. But nonetheless, we've got about 20 or low 20 bids out there right now. The leading money getter at the moment is Paris Campbell on a $21.5 million contract to the Colts. We've got two auctions that are looking like they're going to expire right after midnight or so, with Cordero Patterson at 16.2, Juwan Johnson at 16.3, and Juan Thornhill at six, a little over six. Jihad Ward right there at almost 7.5. But as we see every year, and in real life free agency too, the first day you see a lot of the talent that's out there, or the top of the talent that's available, get thrown on the board and getting some pretty crazy contracts to be able to pull people on their team. So teams that have kept their hundreds of millions dry, they're starting to use it. This is one of those that for owners who haven't been through this before, a real life lesson in why people were bidding on maybe less than attractive franchise players or transition or RFA players, because frankly, those for probably an 8 out of 10 per rate are better than we have in free agency. So just part of the process and part of why the tag system's changing to try and reduce some of that and get some of those back into the free agency pool here. But enough of me talking. RJ, anyone interesting that you want to call out as part of the bids right now that you either think is of value, or you're surprised to see this early, or anything that kind of strikes your fancy?
I don't think Paris Campbell is the last wide receiver to break $20 million. I think it's going to happen a couple of times over this free agency, and I'm actually shocked that I I don't really want to call something out on the board, but um, I will. I'm surprised Isaiah Hudgens isn't higher than $12 million. Like he's another one that I'd expect like somebody to just pay 20 million with the anticipation of like renegotiating him, and then age, production, like after a renegotiation or two, he's a solid player or a solid contract.
Yep. Bill, what about you?
I agree with RJ. I don't think you're going to see Harris be the only 20 plus million wide receiver. I am surprised he was the first $20 million player. But I mean, it's not surprising to see a $20 million receiver. I appreciate that people are being smarter with their special teams players. We don't have one over $1 million yet, thank God. But honestly, like the surprise of surprises for me, I think, is I want to say it's Kevin Byard at 12.5. I know he's good, but like for
That's
the last
cheap.
Well, yeah, I get that, but like for the last like how many weeks have we heard from somebody, Panthers, that safeties aren't worth shit, and I'm like, well, good luck. You gave up Minka. Have fun in free agency when those are the prices. So I don't know.
The non-studs aren't worth shit.
Yeah,
There's a tier of ones that are like legit, and Byard is in that tier. That's why I say like that's a good price. I'm surprised he's not in that, like, I don't know, what was Harrison Smith's contract last year and the year before? Wasn't it like 14 or 16 million?
Yeah, at one of the last 2 years he was like 16, but like Cam Curl was like 18.
Yep. That's kind of that's what I expect him to kind of fall at.
Yeah,
might be a little bit less.
Yeah, I do say this. I think a couple people tried to sneak in some low end names such as Mike Boone and Shi Smith, and they're getting bit in the ass because it's the first wave and everybody's going to spend as much money as they can. And Mike Boone may not see a single carry this year, and he's $2.5 million.
No, I think that was a solid like nomination. I don't know if it came out. I don't know if they nominated him around the same time that he got signed. But like,
Yep.
I like that. Like, I like where he landed. I kind of disagree. I do think he's going to see a decent amount of work this year.
Yeah, I mean that was actually my nomination. So well done, Bill. But yeah, it was right after he got signed. I think everything's kind of wide open in Houston. I think Ryans is going to be the kind of coach that says you want your job, compete for it, and win it. And you've got Damian Pierce there, who's just kind of a bruiser type of back, especially the way he ran this year. I think he won the Angry Run Scepter for the year, if I recall correctly.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of player is great to have, but you need to be able to spell that guy, and you need to be able to potentially have someone who can fill in for that guy, because you run that angry, you're going to get injured.
And as we speak, Mike ups the bid.
Hey, gotta represent my guy. Plus, if I can't get his auction completed, then I can't get to another bid. So I'm you reminded me that maybe I need to look again at who's available on the auction block here and see if there's some things I want to bid on. Like, again, I had a lead bid on Shi Smith and Bryce Huff as well at one point. I agree. Safety seems a little expensive based off of how people talk about them the other 300 days of the year. But again, it's free agency, and those are kind of the biggest names out there in free agency. Like, let's be honest, we're paying $6 million for Shi Smith, and yes, he's gotten some pieces moved out from in front of him, but he had some opportunity last year, sucked, and got moved to the back. So now it's a question of, does he still get that opportunity this year, or has it disappeared altogether for him and he's going to get replaced by rookies or other sort of low dollar value free agents? Who knows? But hey, the Panthers have the first overall pick, so that's that's an option there. I agree with the Bayard point at 12.5, one of the elite safeties, but definitely very holy cow. Sorry, real life free agent update came through as we were talking. I'll talk about that in a second. But D tackle is another one I'm interested in. That's kind of been more expensive than I thought. Cam Hayward, we were talking before the podcast started that did he retire or not? I think a bunch of us got caught in the head fake. But you got 3D tackles out there. You've got Cam at 12.5. You've got Dalvin at 6.5. And we've got Onyemata at almost 7 at D tackle when people are talking about that not being a premium position. So we're going to pay $12.5 million to Cam Hayward, who's 34, 35 years old, and might actually be a DN. Maybe this is one of the ones that didn't get shifted back. I don't remember. But then turn around and say, yeah, but you definitely shouldn't spend a late first on Jalen Carter. Like, seriously? Like,
oh, wow.
So the big free agent sign that just popped across, and I think RJ just saw it, was David Montgomery got signed by the Lions.
Yep.
Holy shit. I thought you were talking about Aziz.
Oh. So where does Jamal Williams go?
Well, Jamal was apparently far off on negotiations. So now this throws a whole wrenches, how do Montgomery and Swift coexist? Because their games are different, but not that different.
Yeah, I was going to say, they do at least when they were both healthy, they did a lot of similar things.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. I think Swift got his starting role back, but I wouldn't be surprised to see it be like.
How did Swift get his starting role back?
Because he's better.
But
personal
Montgomery has the production. That's why they signed him.
Yeah, I know. It's probably going to end up being like, God, who was it with Brandon Jacobs back, like the Thunder and Lightning thing? It's probably going to be
a couple different guys.
Yeah,
it's probably not Tiki. Was it Tiki? Yeah, it was Tiki at first, and then, God, it was the guy who was good for like 2 years and then retired because of his neck issues.
Yeah, but it's going to be stuff like that. Like Montgomery probably could be the banger, and then Swift is going to be the third down PPR guy. I mean, obviously they can both catch, they can both run between the tackles, but I think that could be how that works out. It's going to kill both of them, but generally speaking, it's not bad for Swift's value like Jamal would have been.
I guess. I mean, well, Jamal was a complimentary back, I think, to Swift. I think kind of like what Panthers saw in Spiller last year. Like Spiller is a complimentary back to what Eckler does well. Eckler, you give him 15 carries and 10 targets is like his ideal workload that you would want, Eckler to handle, because you get him in space and then, he just does things, or you put him in there when guys are tired and can't necessarily track where he is, gets lost in the line and breaks one because he's got the speed and the ability to break tackles, especially when people get a little exhausted. So you kind of use that, everyone in the kind of their ideal role here. So again, this almost feels more like what San Francisco would do 2 or 3 years ago, where it's, okay, we've got Raheem Mostert, we've got Jeff Wilson, we've got Tevin Coleman, we've got every running back, and none of them are making more than $5 million. Oh, and Jerick McKinnon. We've got 4 of these guys, and we're just going to start rotating them on series. And whoever starts breaking off big runs, they get RB1 for the rest of the game, and everyone else kind of rotates in when we have time.
Sure.
So this is a little bit more of a high-cost version of that. But yeah, so that's kind of what's going on in the league right now. So if you haven't nominated player for free agency, we respectfully ask that you go throw one out there, even if it's not one that you're super serious about. At least get the player volume up there so we can keep things moving and get to a point where we have these guys for new homes, so we can get back to the trading portion of the players moving around. Speaking of big trades, though, talked about it earlier, but want to get folks' thoughts on the big draft day trade that's already happened. Panthers moving up from 9 to 1. Bears getting a haul, including DJ Moore, to move from 1 to 9. better position themselves and start building around Fields rather than replacing Fields. I want to see what you guys think of that. We'll let Bill start. Bill has a few opinions on Fields, I think.
So I love it for Fields, obviously. I don't know if it was you, Mike, or somebody said in the chat, it's literally the real life draft day situation happening. And it's absolutely true. Especially if Carolina ends up trading down again. It's so ridiculous. But I don't know what the cap difference is between 1 and 9 as far as like expected salary for rookie slotting. But for me personally, I think that the Bears just saved whatever that difference is on Jalen Carter. I think this whole legal situation is going to cause him to slide. I could see the Bears still taking him at 9. But yeah, I love this. The Bears have done nothing bad this offseason that I can see so far. I love the linebackers signing. I love DJ Moore is awesome. I'm gonna love watching it for Fields. And
the thing that cracks me up though from the signing perspective is they traded Roquan because they didn't want to give upwards of $20 million a year to a linebacker. They turned around and signed Tremaine Edwards for basically an average annual value of $18 million.
Well, they gave 20 to 30 million for both of them. So it's not bad at all. You turned Roquan into 2 linebackers and DJ Moore and a shitload of picks. It's not terrible.
You didn't turn Roquan into that. Instead of paying Roquan that.
Salary cap wise, it was a 2-for-1 deal. They got Edmonds and they got Edwards. That's going to be a fucking nightmare to watch and figure out who made the tackle. But yeah, I love it. I think it's great. Can't wait to see what Carolina actually decides to do. But yeah, for Chicago, I think it was awesome.
RJ, what do you think?
I was making bids. What are we talking about?
What do you think about the Carolina Chicago trade?
Oh boy. I think CJ Stroud's the number 1 pick in the draft. But I think that's starting to come out more and more. Which I like that landing spot for Stroud if that actually does happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a huge fan of the haul that Chicago gets. DJ Moore's pretty nice. He works really well with a running quarterback, somebody that's just an option type of player. I think that fits DJ Moore really well, and I think they're going to use the other stuff. I don't see them trading down or doing anything else. I just see them adding more talent to that team, and I think that team's going to do pretty well next year, as long as Fields is motivated and healthy. They're going to do exceptional.
I could easily see the Bears holding another top 3 to top 5 pick next year with Carolina. But yeah, I think it's great.
I do enjoy the instant reaction. I forget which of the talking heads said this. It was Josh Allen needed Stephon Diggs to make his leap.
Yeah, DJ Moore's not that kind of wide receiver 1.
But it was I forget who the other quarterbacks needed so-and-so before they made their leap. Now Justin Fields gets DJ Moore. What's going to happen? It's everyone who's not assuming that Justin Fields is going to be a top 5 quarterback next year. It's guys, let's pump your brakes a little bit here. Fantasy wise, absolutely.
Yeah.
But let's let some things happen first before we make some of these assumptions.
Right.
The thing I'd love to see is they're sitting there at 9. They just kind of wait and say, you know what? Carter maybe goes at 7. The quarterbacks are off the board. Anderson's gone. Murphy's gone. Screw it. We'll take a JSN. Put JSN, Mooney, and Moore as your receivers out there with Kmet. And then take whatever running back you want early in the second. Oops, you can't because you traded a second for Claypool. It's the makings of an offense that Fields can really succeed in.
Yeah, it's interesting. You said JSN. There was a comment made on Twitter about him reacting to the. I don't know if it was a reaction or if it was just like a general comment, but JSN said that him and Fields used to talk about playing together in the pros, and that if that happens, that would be awesome.
I mean, I think their focus is to really flesh out a good defense. And like when you look at it, didn't they just pick up TJ Edwards?
Yeah,
and Tremaine Edmonds.
Yeah.
So the only major things that they're missing is like a prominent edge rusher, a prominent interior lineman. I don't really see them doing a lot of offense. This strikes me as a team that now they do have like what you could assume is a like number one wide receiver, to where like they don't get any flashier on offense. They just become a really good defense, and that offense is good enough to put up 21, and their defense just holds everybody below that.
Yeah, I could see them going like offensive line in the draft.
Yeah,
trying to find it in free agency.
Well, there's no offensive line in free agency.
Yeah, they've all been signed already. But yeah, no, I get what you're saying. It's going to be fun to watch what they do. Poles is making his push for GM of the year.
Poles is trying to save his job.
Mm-hmm.
He's doing a good job so far.
It's, hey, I've got a future first next year to play with. I also wouldn't be surprised if he uses that on draft day.
He has a future 1 and 2, doesn't he? Didn't he get a first and second next year?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if he takes those 2 picks and pairs it with one of his thirds, he can get back into the back team of the first round, I bet.
Yeah, but why do that whenever you could just trade it for a better stud? Like, if you're going to do that, what do they need still? They need a line. They need a running back. They need defensive backfield.
Well, unless you're going to give $100 million to Orlando Brown, there's literally not offensive linemen available via trade or anything.
Well, Tunsil is still available.
Oh, that is right. They do want a king's ransom for him, though.
They do. And I know that the Chiefs just signed whoever it was out in Miami, but I could easily see them paying the price to get Tunsil. But yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of options that they can do with a lot of it, but
is Tunsil still the best left tackle in the league? I mean, minus San Francisco. He's the
Trent
best. He's the best left tackle ever.
I guess I don't even know who else would be in that realm.
Armstead, if he's healthy. Everybody else is really young. Like I know New York has like a stud. There's
Beckham.
Yeah, there's I was talking about the Giants too.
Oh, okay.
Like there's a lot of like young guys, but we're at that point where there's not a lot of like they're either like Trent Williams age, but there's no established this is one of the more prominent left tackles in the league that's 28, 29. Yeah. Other than I guess
there's really excellent interior linemen and right tackles, but left tackle seems to be diminished.
Yeah, and frankly, I'd almost say, if I'm the Bears, I might want to try and move down again. If someone is interested and wants to get into that range for either a Carter or another one of these pass rushers, and I can get down into the 20s and pick up another first next year, or into the teens and pick up another second, give me that all day, because you're going to get yourself right in the range of a Paris Johnson.
Yeah.
And that might be the play that they're thinking at 9, is based off of the way that the 2 Ohio State linemen graded. There's some thoughts there that there's obviously the quarterbacks and a very strong top tier of edge rushers. But once you get past that, it's kind of dealer's choice in terms of where these guys are slotting from. Okay, am I really paying this much for a tight end? But there's a good class of those. The receivers, there's something for everybody, but none of them are necessarily elite in any of those skills. No one wants to pay that high of a price for a running back. There's another tier of quarterbacks, but are we really spending a mid to late first on those guys? And then outside of the first couple of corners, I don't think any of these guys, except maybe Christian Gonzalez, challenged to go in the top 5 or 8. But beyond that, like when you get into the teams, the Joey Porter Juniors and guys like that, you're going to start seeing a bunch of corners flying off. So this is going to be one of those years where like you get to 8 or 9, and if you trade in the 10 through 22, you have probably an equal chance of getting your guy.
That's fair. I didn't realize how many good tackles were coming out this year.
Yep. All right. Other free agency / trade stuff. Darren Waller getting traded for a third today. Surprised, not surprised? What do you guys think there?
Surprising where he went. I thought they really liked Bellinger, but this kills Bellinger. And at the moment, that makes Darren Waller the number 1 receiving option. Right? Like, is that not the case?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like any of it. It's upsetting.
I mean, the Raiders didn't get enough back for him. That's for damn sure.
Yeah. It's just I don't know.
I love that the reaction online hasn't been anything about the return. It's been about the fact that Waller just got married. McDaniels is the one that leaked it, and now he's traded while his wife still plays for the Vegas Aces.
Like, I feel how Jacob's tweet was. Like that's exactly how I feel.
Yeah. But I mean, he didn't fit with McDaniels. Like, I don't know what's going to happen with tight end there. Moreau maybe comes back now.
Oh yeah,
like got him locked in at $2 million a year.
Yeah, that's a solid asset to have in this league now.
Yeah, when you did that, I didn't know if he had re-signed or not. I was like, did he re-sign? I just missed it. No, it's just an empty space right now.
In real life free agency, I think the Josh Oliver signing in Minnesota is going to be very relevant.
Yeah. They're going to run a lot.
Oh, I just think he's going to be a productive tight end.
Well, who's in front of him?
Nobody.
No, Hawkinson.
Hawkinson? Oh, Hawkinson is in Minnesota. Haha. Forgot about that one.
Just a minor inconvenience.
Whoops.
Hey, I wonder what they're going to do with wide receiver 1 in Minnesota. Is there anyone good there?
No, they got rid of Thielen.
You know what I think the Bengals really need? They need a receiver. They really don't have a good option at either 1 or 2 in Cincinnati.
Nope. Their 3's pretty questionable too.
Yeah, not especially good. But no, I think it's interesting to see teams moving to the schemes that they want to be doing. It's kind of a move away, what I think you've seen a lot in the last couple of years, where it's been almost a copycat league of, okay, we're going to go get these guys. And it's a bidding war to get those guys because that's the copycat offense everyone wants to run. Like 2 years ago, it was, okay, who's going to find their version of Deebo Samuel? And here are the guys to do it. And here's the guys you got to either sign or draft to go do that.
Right.
Then it was, okay, in years past, it was, okay, you got either San Francisco or others running tight end heavy schemes and Kelsey breaking out and things like that. So who's going to go find their Travis Kelsey and load up on tight ends? And everyone's kind of moved back to kind of like, okay, here's the way we want to play. And they're actually, God forbid, aligning the players their GMs are taking to the kind of schemes they want to be running. Hey, you want to have a running back who can be a 3-down back and also participate in the passing game like Josh Jacobs? That's your guy. Franchise him. Make sure you hang on to him. You don't necessarily need as much of a big name and spend a lot of money at tight end because you'd rather have slot guys that can provide quick throws to a guy like Jimmy Garoppolo. Okay, get rid of your tight end, go with a cheaper option. And make sure you have money to go sign pieces in other places around your defense. Like it's interesting to finally see teams catching on and saying, oh, the reason Kansas City is so good, not just because they have Andy Reid, but because they keep signing Andy Reid type players to complement his offense.
Mm-hmm.
What a crazy idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that's what happens whenever you do that and you don't have a long-standing head coach like that. Like, you don't get a Tomlin or a Reed or a Belichick every day. You get, one and dones all the time. So it's hard to build that situation.
Right. So that was the big trade today. Obviously, there have been some others around the edges, like Jawan Taylor replacing Orlando Brown in Kansas City, with them really looking like they've been approaching the trade market to fill in holes rather than necessarily go through free agency. Although they just did give Charles Omenihu a $10 million per year contract to replace Frank Clark. That's interesting. After I come out last podcast and say, I don't know what's going to happen with him and his legal trouble. No, yeah, he's going to get $10 million a year from the Chiefs. Well, like you said before, RJ, we all make our opinions and our best guesses, but sometimes we are just flat wrong.
Wow, that's insanity. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, none of us work for these franchises. We don't really know what's going on.
Right.
Most of the time, people that work inside the franchises don't even know what's going on.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Oh, man.
All right. Any other free agent or trade or other topics you guys want to cover? This is kind of a quick one just because we don't necessarily have as much to cover.
I
Yeah.
just urge everybody to get out there, trade away their picks, trade some of them to me. And just make trades in general.
Yeah, pay attention to the league right now. We have teams that still haven't even put up nominations. Do your jobs. It's not hard. But yeah, I mean, overall, like, just keep paying attention. Everything is going to change in the real NFL over the next couple of days. Like, Aaron Rodgers is apparently going to announce his decision on the Pat McAfee show tomorrow. Lamar can finally start being talked to, but I would say anybody, like, I know personally I was worried about like the running back market not starting, but then you realize it's all just waiting around Dalvin Cook. Just be patient. Things will wear itself out.
I hope when Aaron Rodgers gets on the on McAfee show tomorrow, he's in like a plaid button up and he has a whole bunch of kids like behind him, like LeBron with his decision.
I hope he retires.
And he's just sitting there in a chair.
Oh my God. Or he goes the complete other direction. Like, because of everything that's being said about him already, like you said, instead of, kids at Boys and Girls Club or stuff like that, he's got like kittens everywhere playing all around him or little puppies and things like that, like heartfelt things where he's holding, and he's kind of, stroking a little dog the entire time, just kind of playing into the person or plays into the persona completely. Just kind of goes gray suit with the Dr. Evil bald cap and the hairless cat in his lap. Like, this would just be great if he said, you know what? Everyone wants to say I'm crazy and a bit of a villain. Fine, let's just have some fun with this. I'm going to New York, and we're gonna play this the right way.
Yeah, it'll be
great because what I need Aaron Rodgers trying to buy a house in my neck of the woods and driving up house prices more, or just running into Aaron Rodgers at the Stop and Shop will be fun. Because I literally live up the hill from the Jets facility, so.
Oh gosh,
nice.
It'll be good times. All right, enough is enough. Let's get to the fun part. Enjoy, get the bidding going, get the trading going. Let's have some more topics to cover next week. We'll have some completed bids and hopefully some more trades than just one, and hopefully it won't be for a defensive tackle who's probably going to be a backup on a team. But, gentlemen, thank you again, and now let's get to the good part.